Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And this time, it is time to jump back into Jubilee Blitz Normal Battle 2 now. So this battle is featuring a dark character of any type. It doesn't have to be magic, but we're going to use a few, give or take. But this stage obviously is my lowest ranking one because there's a lot of RNG that comes into this, and a lot of the top players have maxed out the scores because they are taking no damage and dodging poison and stuff like that. I don't really care that much because I'm down 214 points away from max score. I'm not too concerned about that, to be honest with you, so I'm just going to leave it. But let's start with the disclaimers. Disclaimer number 1 is that your results may vary. This video is meant to be used as a guide, not as the end-all be-all. So, you're going to have to use what you got. Take the strategy of what I'm doing and then apply it using your own units that you have available. Disclaimer number 2 are these are the units I use for protection gauge, and these are the units I use for skill point gain. And then disclaimer number 3 is please do not forget to go into your town and optimize your dark building to maximize the stats of your dark nuking unit. But with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so for Normal Battle 2, we're fighting 3 ants all at the same time, who are relatively tanky, and they have a little few quirks to them that we'll go over during the fight, but all 3 of them are on the front lines, so they're always going to be there. There's no phases, there's just nuke them. The max turn is turn 5 before you start losing points, so you do have a little bit of time to build up points, build up some damage before you have to nuke them. It's not like normal 1 where it's turn 3 and that's it. The starting hand is a special convert for greens, so Tsubasa, Lumi, Dark Milim. If you can use Nabe if you're doing a team that is, Stern of Spirit focused. There are a few different converters here that can do this now. Free to play Trya also can do that. So we're going to run first off with the Overlord team. Let me go pull that up. Okay. The team looks like this. So we've got Rimuru, Ainz, Jean, Albedo, Shizu, Nabe, Violet, and we're going to nuke with Albedo since she is going to get the damage buff against light characters. She is an AoE, and she is capable of doing a lot of damage here. So, and because she falls underneath Rimuru. We also have Mird, I think that's his name, I don't remember. But he's giving poison resistance, 15%, like 15% poison dodge, which, if you want to sweat a little bit, you can try and bank on it. That's how the sweats got the perfect scores, by dodging all the poisons. I'm not particularly concerned about it. But Jean is giving the 100% alt buff. Shizu is giving the own buffs. Violet's giving a magic buff. And Albedo is giving her own stun strike against one of the enemies. So in 5 turns, we're able to do it here. Again, the damage cap is 1.4 million that you're looking to do. And Albedo is capable of doing such numbers with a butt ton of support. So here, we have made it so that we're going to have 2 Stern of Spirit characters that are able to come in on turn 1. That way we can use Nabe's special convert and convert both of these. So we've got Albedo, Shizu, and Nabe here. Full hand. Now we have to be mindful of where we're sending the damage, because we don't want to kill one of them early. We want to make sure that all 3 of them are alive for the nuke. So let's bring in Violet. No one has gear on, except for Albedo. No one has attack gear, because I want them to live as much as possible. And Violet, because she's not part of the Stern of Spirit, does not have... does not get that extra damage buff. She's going to do inherently weaker damage here. But this turn actually worked out fairly good. Normally this is a green stacking team, but we've got a pretty good looking hand, and we've got Violet, who is able to convert that. And Rimuru is going to be able to reset that if I use him here. The only problem is that since Rimuru is giving everybody elemental damage, it means that everybody will start hitting harder and harder and harder, which means keeping people alive much more difficult. So we're going to swap a few people out here. We do need to get the EX alt for Albedo. That's the thing. So we need to get kind of lucky with some Albedo orbs within 5 turns. 2 of them are guaranteed, and then after that, you're really looking for some luck. You could put a charm on that would give extra alt gauge to your highest attacker, who would be Albedo in this situation because no one else has gear. You could give the extra alt gauge on blues or something like that. There's a number of things you could do. So, okay, Violet dodged all 3 poisons, but Albedo and Jean took 2 of them. Or each took 1, which is fine. Again, unless you're really trying to sweat, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. But here, the orbs kind of play it out a little funky, but we can make it work because we can just swap Jean away, and then all of those orbs will become Nabe orbs, and then we can use both the orb changes again. And because Rimuru is keeping things relatively cheap, or has the ability to, we're going to be okay. So, blue orb change, we'll use the Despair. The Despair skill, apart from being terrible, does give extra alt gauge on greens, which is nice if we had more Albedo orbs. That's the only unfortunate thing. Now, on turn 4, so turn 3 going into turn 4, your front line is debuffed with guard power down, and if you aim all of your attacks at the ant on the right, the very right, you will do 1 damage to them, which means that keeping them alive is much easier, but you have to get to this point to begin with, which you can see, like, the left ant is in the red. So, we're not going to get the EX ult here, actually, which is kind of unfortunate, unless we get a few orbs for Albedo here, which we do. We get 3. So, because the Despair is giving the greens extra alt gauge, we're going to work very well. Shizu is going to come here and swap the alt away, and that'll give us, the 3 orbs of Albedo. We'll reset everything. There we go. And then we can use the Nabe orb change to take care of those 2 orbs right there for Shizu. And then we can use another stack of Despair. And this will get us the alt. Now, we did have to bring Shizu in, so she is not debuffed by any means. So she's going to do normal damage here. But then everybody else is going to do nothing to that right ant. So 1, 2, and then 1, 1, 1, 1. And then the 200% orb also does 1 damage. So that's how you're going to keep them alive. And now, we have the EX ult with Albedo. We have quite a few points now. And we have all the buffs that we need to be able to take out these poor things. So Nabe will come out for Jean, the 100% alt buff, alongside her own synergy power, which doesn't matter because we're not using it, and she's not nuking. And then we got the extra weakness strike, plus the alt resistance down from Shizu, and then we'll bring Violet in for her magic buff. So we're not going to stun strike with Albedo at all, because it's honestly not too great of a skill. But we're using our 3 big-time buffs. Alt damage, weakness strike, magic power, and we do 685, 687k on the nuke right there. Plenty enough damage to hit that 1.4 million cap, right? So we are capped out. We've only lost points on the damage taken, mostly from the poison, but there is, my highest scoring team. Let's move on to the next couple of options. All right, the second team we're going to use is this New Year's Xion and Swimsuit Milim nuke. This team also has the capability of doing the maximum damage cap of 1.4 million, plus some. It's just an entirely different setup. So we've got Anniversary Milim for the orb change and the alt buff. She doesn't need to be skill fused because her 25% attack for Dark Allies directly coincides with Swimsuit Milim's own attack buff, so they kind of cancel each other out. It's just 25% attack. But the alt damage, we've got Physical Rimuru, who's going to be able to do a few things for us. We've got Blanc, who's giving us synergy resistance down and weakness strike. And then New Year's Rimuru, who is our utility to help us get the EX ult for Swimsuit Milim. So let's go ahead and start it up. Turn 1, we're going to use the orb change with Dark Milim and send the orbs. Again, no one has attack gear except for the Swimsuit Milim, who's nuking. But the idea here is that next turn we need 3 orbs of somebody. That way we can bring in New Year's Rimuru and convert those to rainbows. And thankfully, we get 3 orbs of 2 people. So we have, a choice. Either one, it does not matter. But we do need 3 orbs of somebody. So we're going to bring in New Year's Rimuru to convert 3 orbs into rainbows, which will then bring in Milim for, and that'll be 3 rainbow orbs for Milim. Milim also has this wonderful skill where she can steal blue orbs to herself, and we have 2 blue orbs. So not only are we going to have 3 rainbows for Milim, we're going to have 2 blues, which are then going to be changed into oranges with Xion. So this will get us the EX alt. I mean, if we had an orange there, we could have used Rimuru's orb change first, and then we could have given all to them to Milim, but actually this works out better because she does a lot of damage, right? She has attack gear on. We can't really have that for the 200% orb. So we send Blanc last. And you see, like, yeah, if they don't guard, they take a lot of damage. And even if they do guard, they take a lot of damage. So Blanc, thankfully, does not do that much. Here, we're ready to go, right? We have the EX alt with Milim. She's going to now go into the back after we use her attack buff and the physical Rimuru buff, because we're able to hold the 65% physical attack on it. We'll lose the 20% physical resistance, does not matter. We have plenty of damage incoming to take care of that, where we don't care about that debuff. But Milim comes out, and now we're going to bring in Dark Milim because she doesn't have the physical buff. And now we'll use Xion. Also, she's magic, so she's not going to get those crit synergies anyway. Now we have to use Xion to give ourselves 6 oranges, because we need to make those points back that we just spent. Because we need enough to use the Dark Milim alt buff and the Blanc synergy resistance down and weakness strike. So we need to have quite a few points here. But remember, then, going into turn 4, we do get that debuff placed on us, where we don't do insane amounts of damage, or any damage really, to the rightmost ant. And that's how we'll keep everyone else alive, because we have done quite a bit of damage so far to everything. And if we were to send like 6 more orbs or something, like, they wouldn't live. So here, does not matter, just send 2 orbs on the right ant, you'll do 1 damage each. And now, because of the passive Xion skill point gain, we have 146 points, 143. And that is enough now to full-time nuke. So Milim comes in for Rimuru, we use the Dark Milim alt buff and the Blanc buff, and then we'll use the stack of Xion that we held onto, and that will then get us the huge damage buff right here. And then we'll nuke for like 2.3 million damage or something. Yeah, that was pretty good. I don't know why we did less against the middle one, but might have physical resistance, I don't really quite know. But there we go, 116,282, very, very close to my original score with the Albedo team. It just, we took more poison damage there. Does not really matter. But obviously 1.4 is the target. We did almost 1 million more than that. So there is a second totally different team from the Albedo team that's able to do the damage cap. Let's move on. Alright, next up is the first anniversary Dark team. We're going to be nuking with the AoE Dark Rimuru, who is unfortunately the lowest priority unit from the first Anni, besides Diablo, who just serves no purpose on this team whatsoever, because he's physical, and Veldora is giving a magic buff, which I'm... God save that poor intern that made that decision. But Dark Veldora is resetting skill cap. He's doing essentially what Rimuru from, Protector Rimuru from the Overlord collab is doing, just worse. Stacking magic buff. We've got Dark Milim again for the turn 1 orb change, the dark buff, and the attack buff, and the alt damage. Rimuru has guaranteed crits and 40% crit damage for Dark allies. Isis and Aaron are here to orb change as well. And then Shinsha will give us a 50% dark attack, because for her to get the 70, we had to be at turn 8, and turn 8 is not a thing here. So we will hopefully have full magic buff, full dark, well, half dark buff, crit buff, and alt buff and attack buff on this team. Let's go ahead. Okay, I think this is where we can start. Alright, so turn 1, Dark Milim will come in and orb change. Again, no one has attack gear on except for Rimuru. We don't want to do any more damage now that we have almost an entire Dark team on us. We're going to do quite a bit in chip damage. So orb change with Milim, and then we'll just go ahead and send it. We could have started with the skill point units and use the Isis green buff as well. That also is a perfectly fine strategy. I just didn't use it here. Mainly because I'm trying to move away from the skill point units for the normal battles, because I tell a lot of people to focus on the big 3, and Milim, Lumi, and Soe are nice to have, but I would not think priority for a lot of players. Here we actually get pretty lucky. So we just get a bunch of Rimuru orbs, and then we can reset everything with Veldora, and then we'll bring Aaron in, and she'll change those other 2 oranges, and we'll be fine. We'll be looking pretty good. We got 5 Rimurus. He's not an EX character. He doesn't need that many orbs, but he's got them, and he's going to have almost an EX ult here. And that makes our life actually incredibly easy, because once he has an ult, we can just get him out. So we're going to use also the extra crit resistance down on the enemy, plus the skill point gain for all orbs, and we'll once again spread the damage out. Again, keeping in mind that everybody on this team is dark, except Aaron, who didn't have any orbs there. And now Rimuru goes bye-bye until turn 5, because he doesn't need to be up front for anything. We do use his ult yoink ability just as another skill, because the way Veldora works is that every time you use a skill, you get 5% magic attack, up to a 70% cap. So we want to use as many skills as possible going into turn 5 to make sure that that 70% is maxed out, which I think we get. Think being the key word. But regardless, he's going away after we use that ult yoink, because we have the points for it, right? We have 1 blue, 2 oranges. We're going to reset everything once Milim comes in, so it's going to work out fine. So there's the ult yoink. So there's just another skill used. It is an expensive skill but it is a usable skill. So here we'll do the green buff again. We'll do the Isis orb change. I don't know why I didn't use the green buff. Don't question me. I did this like 2-3 days ago. But there we go. Okay, that's why. Because we had the green buff active and we wanted to use the extra skill point and crit resistance down instead. So there. I knew there was a reason. I just couldn't remember until we did it. Alright, so 1, 2, and 3. Again, making sure to spread the damage. Aaron is not dark, so she's not doing that extra damage. But she did have that magic buff, which is unfortunate. So we're doing quite a bit in chip damage here. But we should be ready to go now that we're on turn 4. Again, we're going to have that nerf that we're going to do no damage against that right ant, and that's how we're going to make up to the points that we need to do everything. Veldora will reset, and then we could use some orb changes. As long as we get to the maximum skill points that we can get here, we'll be okay. So we're going to send, looks like 4 greens. Right? Or we're going to get Isis out of here. Alright, and she'll bring in that other blue orb. So, and then we can send a full hand of green. We just have to, again, be careful, because Milim will not have that debuff anymore. So, what do we do here? Alright, so we're going to use Veldora to reset the orb changes, reset everything. We'll bring Milim in. We'll use her orb change, and then we'll use another stack of the the crit resistance down. And we'll use the HP buff as just another skill, just to make sure we hit that 70% cap for Veldora, and then we'll send everything against that right ant. Because Milim will do damage, but everybody else won't. So 1, 1, 1, and 1. And now we're on turn 5. We have enough points. Veldora should be maxed out, and we're ready to nuke. So we just have to make sure that we have an orb for Aaron at that point, which she has an ult, so we have an orb regardless. So Aaron goes away. We use all 3 of the buffs here, 1, 2, 3, and then the crit resistance down for just additional damage. And then we'll use Veldora to give ourselves what I assume is the 70% magic buff. Certainly is. And then not EX Rimuru, but Dark Rimuru will be our nuker here. And he does 200k and change. I mean, not bad for the first anniversary AoE unit. Not great, definitely not damage cap. We did half of it, but it is a viable team. So there we go. It's a bunch of old units, so you may or may not have them. And I think that's going to do it for this section. I might have one more team. Let me check. Alright, yeah, those are the 3 teams I have for you. No 4th team this time, because there are other options. I couldn't be bothered. Sorry. You could use Visions of Coleus Rimuru to nuke if you want, because he's got the rainbow orbs. There are a few other dark units that you can use to nuke, but we're going to leave it at the 3 because we're at like 19 minutes to almost 20 minutes now in this video. So let me know if this video helped you out with your score, but that's it from me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.